All right, folks, it is time for the second installment of my 2026 pre-draft NFL Power Rankings, and today we're doing teams 25 through 18. Last week we did the first set of teams. If you want to see that, it should be in the feed. And I want to preface this by saying, after I put my notes together for this, a blockbuster trade involving two of these teams did occur last night. So we'll make some last-minute adjustments here as we go along, but that really is going to impact what I would feel about a couple of these teams on this list here. But we're going to start with number 25, the New Orleans Saints. And this team was 6-11 last year, which sounds terrible, and it is, but that's about 3 more wins than I thought they're going to have. I thought this team really overachieved in some ways last year, and they played a lot of teams closer than I thought they were. I thought they were going to be the worst team in the NFL last year, and there was a couple teams below them. But this year is all about figuring out, what do you have in Tyler Shough? Is he going to be the quarterback of the future, or do you need to look for a quarterback in 2027? Again, 2026 is a very light quarterback draft. Only 2 quarterbacks that really could possibly go in the first round in Mendoza and Simpson. Next year, there's 5 to 6. So you got to figure out what you have in Shough this year. There's not a lot of weapons for him to throw to. He doesn't have a lot of talent around him, but you got to get a good look and a good feel for what you have in him, and that should be the main priority in 2026 for the New Orleans Saints. The good news is they are in the worst division in football, and they can accumulate some wins just by playing some other terrible teams. Number 24, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. And a lot of people are going to say that they are lower on the list than they should be, but I just hate what this team is doing. The Mike McCarthy trade, I didn't hate it, but there was really no splash behind it. I thought a team with that kind of prestige was going to get someone a little more splashy than they did. And Aaron Rodgers has turned into the most selfish player in the NFL. We are now 5 days from the NFL draft, and according to a lot of sources, he has given the Steelers no indication whether he plans to return or not. This is a team that's been looking for a long-term quarterback for 7 years now, and I think they just have to find that guy. They've been patching it together here for a long time, and they're going nowhere with it. And this is the most expensive defense in the NFL, and they are aging quick. You look at TJ Watt, you look at Cam Hayward, a lot of those players are really getting towards the back half of their career, and they're just not what they once were. So this is a team that I think is in a lot of flux right now. They've got to figure out what their long-term plan is at quarterback, even if that means they're going to draft someone in 2027. Number 23, I have the Panthers, and I look at Bryce Young here, and Bryce Young has improved on completion percentage, touchdowns, and wins in each of his last 3 seasons. Unfortunately, he has not decreased the amount of turnovers he's had. He still throws quite a few interceptions, and I wonder if this is just the ceiling for Bryce Young, and this is just what he is. I think I do like what they have at wide receiver in McMillan. Not a lot to talk about here. I think they have a chance to maybe sneak in as an 8-9 division winner this year, but I don't think they're going to go anywhere. This is a team that really depends on what they have in Bryce Young, and I really haven't loved what I've seen so far, even though he has gotten slightly better. Again, the good news is they are in the worst division in NFL, so they can get some wins through that way. Number 22, and this pains me to see it, but I have the Indianapolis Colts. And I hate what this team is doing right now. I did not like the Sauce Gardner trade. I hated the Sauce Gardner trade. I didn't understand why they did it. That was a trade you make when you think you are one piece away from winning the Super Bowl. And I just didn't think they were at that point right at that time. And because of that Sauce Gardner trade, they have no first-round draft pick this year. They have no first-round draft pick next year. Danny Dimes is coming off an Achilles injury, so we don't really know what to expect from him. Jonathan Taylor is another year older. And I don't know what they did at wide receiver. I hated the fact that they traded away Michael Pittman Jr. to the Steelers, especially with how little they got for him. And I did not understand the Alec Pierce's contract at all. A lot of teams were after him, but if you see where he's being paid right now, he's being paid like a top 5 to 6 wide receiver, and he's just not that. He can do one thing really well, and that's run deep down the field and high point a ball. That only impacts a couple plays a game. He's not a possession receiver. He's not a guy who's going to break any tackles. I just don't understand it, and I don't like where this team is going right now. At number 21, I have the Commanders, and I don't have a lot to say about this. Jaden Daniels, he was excellent his rookie year. Last year, he was pretty average. He has to stay healthy the whole season. They have some good talent around him. They have some good wide receivers. But Dan Quinn is a defensive coach, and this defense was terrible last year. And they are right now one of the oldest teams in the NFL. They have to turn over their roster and get more pieces. But most importantly, Jaden Daniels has to be closer to what he was his rookie year as opposed to last year, and he has to stay healthy the entire year. Number 20, the Giants. And they just made a big trade, trading Dexter Lawrence for the 10th overall pick. I love the John Harbaugh coaching hire. I thought that was one of the best hires I've seen in the last couple of years. I think he's the perfect fit for the New York Giants. I love what Jackson Dart did when he was healthy. He's just got to stay healthy. They have Malik Neighbors coming back, and they have an outstanding pass rush. They have three guys who can legitimately rush the passer. And now with this Dexter Lawrence trade, they have 2 top 10 picks overall. They can use those to improve their offensive line, get another weapon, whatever it might be. I love the direction that this team is headed, and I think they have the big chance. They were 4-13 last year. I think they have a chance to have the biggest jump in wins of any team in the NFL this upcoming season. So we'll see how that plays out. Number 19, and I think this is a team that would have been bumped up had I known about this trade sooner, but I have the Cincinnati Bengals. They have a great quarterback. They have 2 great wide receivers, but they don't have a lot else. Now, they did trade for Dexter Lawrence. They had the worst defense in the NFL last year, and I think Dexter Lawrence is going to significantly help. Now, they do have a huge hole to fill with the loss of Trey Hendrickson. He was their best player on defense. Now, they did sign a pass rusher from the Seahawks, so we'll see how that plays out. They did have some upgrades in safety, but I still think their defense is going to be pretty below average. And now I think a lot of this season is really going to depend on, can that defense get slightly better, and can Joe Burrow have an MVP type season. But if this goes south again and they have another subpar year, I could see a world where Joe Burrow just asks out of Cincinnati and goes on to the Los Angeles Rams after Stafford retires. I don't think he's happy there. I don't think they have the best management. They're ultra cheap, and I just don't like what this team has done over the past couple of years. So we'll see how this turns out for the Bengals. And number 18, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they'll win their division at 9-8, and I think they'll lose in the first round by 14 points. Mike Evans is gone, but I love Ibuka. He was very good as a rookie, even though he did miss some games. And Baker Mayfield, I think he has turned into one of the most underrated players in the NFL. If you look at Baker Mayfield over the past 3 seasons, 95 touchdowns to 37 interceptions. That's probably amongst one of the best stat lines you have of any quarterback in the NFL right now. I think he is a top 7 to 8 quarterback in the NFL right now. I do like Ibuka. They did have a couple of their players that have been there for a long time retire and leave, and Mike Evans and a couple of defensive players, but I still think they'll win the division, and they'll go absolutely nowhere in the playoffs. So that's number 25 through 18. We'll tackle the rest of the teams here later this week, and we'll talk to you later.